time to wander the world, and today we are wandering over to a country in Scandinavia which for many years has come out tops in the surveys of the world's happiest nations. Many people dream of going to Finland to see the northern lights, or perhaps to go and visit the reindeer or Santa Claus in Lapland. But as our next guest is going to tell us, there is a lot more to discover than all of that, as exciting as those things may be in and of themselves. Thousands of lakes and forests and islands, vibrant cities, some pretty unique food traditions, sauna culture. There are lots of different reasons to make Finland appealing as a holiday destination. And one of them is perhaps part of the recipe of being the happiest nation. It's about the ability to slow down and reconnect with nature and with simple pleasures. To expand on the theme, it's a great pleasure to have via Zoom this afternoon Heli Jimenez, who is the Senior Director of International Marketing at Business Finland. Heli, wonderful to have you on the show. Welcome to CapeTalk.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Thank you. Let's start with this fact that Finland so often tops the list of the so-called happiest countries in the world. I think it's 9 years running, in fact. What do you think is the secret to that? Is there something to do with the way Finnish people embrace life or their attitude towards work-life balance that you think puts them so at the top of the list?
Yes, many of those things, Pippa. I think the main reason that we have been 9 years on a row the happiest country in the world relies on our strong social systems and a culture of well-being. Mm-hmm. We call this kind of an infrastructure of happiness, which cornerstone is trust. So we trust our neighbors, we trust institutions, public institutions, governance, media. We are very trustful people, and we feel that this kind of transparent governance and framework of support gives us kind of a infrastructure of happiness, which means that we can all also fail within the framework. So we have a safety nets and a sense of shared responsibility. So that helps people to do what they really want to do with their life. But of course, as you said, the nature, we feel that the nature is, and the closeness to the nature is one of the resources for our happiness. Mm-hmm. and the simple life we are living, and the sauna is being one of the things that really, I think, even when you look medically, it gives you a better health and so on. So it's definitely one of our sources of happiness. Work-life balance
Heli,
is something that...
If I can just interrupt you there, Heli, for a second. The sauna culture comment is such an interesting one for me. I mean, I've always been aware of the fact that it was part of the experience in Scandinavia, but I saw some stats this morning that in a country of just over 5.6 million people, you have 3.3 million saunas. It sounds like it's a really significant part of your sort of shared cultural rituals.
We have more saunas than cars in Finland. So it is really, everybody has access to sauna. We have a lot of public saunas, but most of the people have their own sauna in their houses. So it is something that every Finn goes to sauna at least once a week, but more go even more weekly.
Okay, that's fascinating. Sorry to have interrupted you. You were about to talk, I think, about the work-life balance aspect.
Yes, that is also something that we value a lot, and I think it's really embedded to our society in a way that it's important for everyone that work-life balance is in balance, work and free time, and we do things kind of like parents can do a shorter days at work and so on, so that they will have more time with their children and things like that. So. It is very important to us, and I think it's also when we talk about happiness in a way, it's kind of a very competitive thing we have here. Yeah.
Okay. Now, Heli, let's talk a little about the visitor experience for somebody planning a trip to Finland. First thing to mention, South Africans on a South African passport will need a Schengen visa to enter Finland, and you will be spending in euros, I'm afraid. There's no getting away from that. But it's quite easy to get there. Flights departing from both Cape Town and Johannesburg to the capital city of Helsinki, usually via a layover in somewhere like Istanbul or Paris, for example. But you can get there in under 15 hours, for example, if you want to really apply your mind to it. Heli, let's talk about what the visitor is going to find on arrival. Shall we start with your capital city, Helsinki? Is it worth spending time in Helsinki itself before venturing off to places like Lapland and other attractions?
I think it's definitely worth to spend time in Helsinki, and I think for the South Africans, it's really good thing that we have a same, more or less, we are living in the same time zone in a way. So it's easy to come, and you don't have to suffer the jet lag or anything. And I think in Helsinki, you can also right away feel that you're very close to the nature. So you don't have to go far away. Nature is always there.
Okay.
But in Helsinki, you can. It's a quite small city. We have 550,000 people living in Helsinki, so it's not even 1 million people here, and it's easy. It's easy to walk everywhere, or we have a very good public transportation. We have a nice architecture to see here, and also just to feel the design and architecture and the city life here. But we are close. We are next to the sea, so it's also very easy to go on island hopping here, and definitely worth to stop.
Okay, and lots of islands to hop around. Literally, I think a lot of people perhaps have never really looked that closely at the map to recognize that Finland is a massive archipelago. We're talking thousands of islands, aren't we?
Yes, we have, I think, the most islands in the world in a way. So we have it on the whole coast almost. So we have islands here, and it's very accessible from Helsinki, for example, and from the other big city, Turku, also, to have a day trip or just a few hours in the islands and enjoy the nature there.
You mentioned Turku, and it's a place I am not at all familiar with, so I hope you're going to tell us a little bit more. I understand it's Finland's oldest city and, in fact, used to be the country's capital, although it is no more. What is the visitor experience like? Why is it such an important destination?
Well, I think that the best way if you are really into the island hopping and see the islands is the archipelago Turku there. It is has most possibilities there. Turku has also very strong architecture, and I think maybe also in both cities we are quite a lot putting effort to our cuisine and bringing this to the people that they can taste what the Finland has to offer.
What are some of your specialty dishes? If somebody wants to come and have an authentically Finnish meal, what should they be trying?
Well, we have, of course, very pure ingredients here. We are strong with any fish, any kind of fish, but especially smoked fish, smoked salmon, salmon soup, and fish in all kinds of shapes and forms. But also we have rye bread, for example, something very, very local and special, a little bit different in each region. They have their own ways to do it, but really, really tasty and good one. From the meat side, we have game, wild game. And then, of course, reindeer, if that's your cup of tea, reindeer stew, for example.
Okay.
But generally, this time of year, we'll have a lot of berries, wild berries. Anyone can pick those up. We have mushrooms just coming out. I just came from my summer cottage yesterday, and there was already mushrooms coming. So.
Okay, so it's the right time of year. One of our listeners has just written in saying, I must ask you please to talk about salmiakki. Is that one of the regional specialties?
That's actually Finnish specialty. It's a candy. It's a black candy that it's like a licorice type of candy, but has a really own special taste. I think most of the people who are not from Finland, they first time when they try it, they think it's awful, but it's kind of addictive. So you just get to use that. It's a very typical Finnish candy.
Okay,
Yes.
thanks for the tip-off, JP. Appreciate it. I would love to hear from anybody listening who's been to Finland. If you'd like to tell us what you experienced or what the highlight was for you, please do pop us a WhatsApp to 072 567 1567. Our guest via Zoom is Heli Jimenez, who is Senior Director of International Marketing at Business Finland. You mentioned the reindeer. Now, going to see living reindeer in Lapland, I know, is one of the things a lot of people will associate with Finland. What else? Lapland is a very unique region with its own cultural uniqueness. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about visiting that part of Finland?
Yes, of course. I think Lapland is mostly known for its winter and the snow and reindeers, of course, and then the home of Santa Claus in the Arctic Circle. He's living there. But also the Northern Lights is something that people want to see, and they are, of course, phenomenon. We can see those also in whole Finland, but definitely mostly in the north.
Yeah.
Actually, you can see Northern Lights also from beginning of let's say August, when it's getting a little bit darker. But I just want to tell us a little bit about Lapland also in the summer, because it is very, very beautiful. It's a night. They have a nightless nights there, so the sun doesn't go down at all, and it really means that. So it's a light. You can see the sun all night, and it's something special. I think it's very, very unique experience, and
it is.
And of course, you can see reindeers also in the summertime.
That is, I've had the experience of sleeping out on the ice in Antarctica, opposite side of the world, but with the sun being up all night. And it was the most incredible experience to lie there knowing it's midnight and it's bright sunshine above. Now, before we run out of time, are there any other highlights I haven't asked you about that you would like to flag as reasons to come and visit Finland, whether they are natural sites or historic buildings or national parks you'd like to mention that somebody should definitely consider adding to their itinerary?
Well, I think more in Finland, we don't have that many historical buildings and so on, but we are more like a destination of experiences. So when we talk about lakes, we talk about sauna, we talk about forest and nature. Those are all kind of experiences that you can have here, and you don't really have to be really athletic to go hiking tens of kilometers. We have very easy access to the nature, so it's for everybody, even in the city. So that kind of state of mind when you come to visit us is more kind of with the nature than actually big buildings and so on.
Okay. One of our listeners asking on the WhatsApp line, is it fairly easy to visit the other Nordic countries if you are in Finland? Is it easy to move between Finland and Sweden and Norway, for example?
Very easy. We have many boats going to Sweden daily here, and of course flights. It's only 1 hour flight to Stockholm, for example, from here, and a little bit more to Norway. So very, very easy, and also to Estonia here. So with boat you can go to Estonia. It takes only 2 hours, I think, and it's an overnight boat to Sweden.
Okay, thanks, Kara, for asking the question. Well, I'm going to finish with the only word of Finnish that I have learnt in advance of this interview, and I hope I'm going to pronounce it correctly in saying kiitos, which is the word for thank you. Is that correct, Heli?
That's very, very correct. Thank you for your, but also one of the Finnish words that is known in the whole world is sauna.
Yes, of course.
That is Finnish also.
3.3 million of them and counting. It's been a real delight to speak to you. Thank you so much, Heli Jimenez, joining us via Zoom this afternoon with some insight into reasons to visit Finland. I'd love to hear from any of our listeners who have had that privilege. Please do pop through a WhatsApp to 072 567 1567 and tell us what you most enjoyed or will always remember about the trip.